Hello and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. Today I've decided to bring my smallest instrument in to show you. I actually have two or three I want to show you today, but this is my smallest. I just want to show it, hold it in a way that's going to be easy for you to see. This is it. I'm just kind of checking the monitor to see if I have it right. This is so small, I didn't measure it this morning, but I decided it's less than an inch. It's not even a half an inch wide, maybe a half an inch wide, maybe about an inch long. It is a harmonica. It is put together by Hohner, made by Hohner. Let me show you the side of it. That's it. That's a really good shot. It plays 4 notes. It's perfect pitch. Perfect pitch 4 notes in the key of C. And it's very hard to play one note. Let me turn it to the side so you can see it. Very, very unusual instrument. I've had people tell me they wanted it, and they wanted me to give it to them, and I said, no way, Jose, or words to that effect. At any rate, here it is. I am going to play it. Now, you have to realize Hohner is a really good German make. I have several Hohner instruments. I love them. They're in perfect pitch, and this little guy is also in perfect pitch. You can see how tiny it is just by comparing it with the size of my hand. I can swallow it up practically. So let me play the notes. I'm going to try to play one at a time, but that's going to be hard to do simply because just the way it is. Let me turn it this way. I think it'll be a little better. It's a whole diatonic chord in the key of C, and it's pitch perfect. A good lung exercise for you. And this is just, it's kind of a novelty item. Hohner makes a lot of really nice instruments. I want to show you in comparison. This is one of my melodicas. I have more than one, and this melodica happens to be a Hohner. I've got 2 or 3 Hohner melodicas. I use this a lot, and it's perfect pitch. You just can't get a wrong note on it. And you can see that the pitch is the same as the little one. Perfect pitch, and it's a Hohner. They make lots of instruments. I love them all, and I wanted to show you this Hohner because I've shown you other small instruments that I have, and next segment I'm going to kind of review them all of the ocarinas I'll review, but this is something I want you to see. Now there are 2 others I want you to see too today. Here is an Irish ocarina. It's small, if I can hold it so you can see it all right. It's small, it's green, it's made from clay, and it's called a Celtic ocarina, but it is made in Ireland, and on the front of it, it has a cross. If you can pick that up, it has a cross. Now the cross, it is made to be worn. It has like a cord that's tied to it. I don't wear it because if it ever came apart or I ever lost it, I wouldn't be able to replace it. But it is clay, and it does have that cross on the front. I have several ocarinas, different sizes, different styles, and so I'm going to be bringing them between this segment and the next segment. I'm bringing them all in for you to see. There is a tone hole in the back, like you would get in a recorder. There is a mouthpiece right here, like a Fipple mouthpiece, like you would get in a recorder. And then there are the tone holes on the side. And that makes the fingering a little different, but the principle of how it's played is the same. So if I hold those, 2 fingers on each side, put the mouthpiece in my mouth, this is the kind of tone that you'll get. It's a very good tone for the size of it. Once again, a clay one, this one from Ireland. We'll go into ocarinas more next time. There is one more ocarina that I want to show you. It's not called an ocarina, but basically it is. This little guy here is known as a puny tune. Now, the puny tune is a kind of ocarina, but they designed it so it would look a little bit like an animal. I have a cute little book on it, The Care and Feeding of the Puny Tune, like it was a live creature. And it's designed so it looks like it has a little head and a little face. This would be the labium right there, like a recorder. And this is the mouthpiece of it, like a recorder. It's a Fipple mouthpiece, and you have the tone holes. There's no hole in the back of it, but you have all your tone holes on the side. So I'm going to have to hold it up sideways for you to see it. There are 2 holes on each side. And there it is, and it's like a recorder. It is an ocarina. It has a nice tone, a little hard to play because you've got to get your thumb just right to hold it with your fingers on the holes, which means I'm crossing my thumbs in the back to be able to hold it and not drop it. But let me play a few notes. Again, a very good tone for the size of it, and it's made out of wood. It's just a very nice one. A lot of these instruments are designed to be worn. They have a cord on them. You sling them around your neck, you carry them, and then when you want to, you really have to tip it up. You know, it's because it's going to hang down with the mouthpiece down. You flip it up and just play it. And people do that. Now, I usually don't wear them around my neck because if anything happened to the cord or anything loosened up, it would be possible to lose it or accidentally even step on it, especially when you get something as small, you know, as that harmonica. But these are the unusual ones I want to show you today, and I'm going to be showing you next segment the other ocarinas, and some of them are going to be hand-painted from Peru, and they're beautiful, so I'm going to show you those, plus the Peruvian flutes as well. So this is what I've chosen to show you this time around. Now, I got a question to ask you. I just want to get you thinking. Here, if we go to this chart, we have almost all the notes that anyone can play in music in this chart. I've started way down. You can see those ledger lines, how far down they come. And then we go up. This is the bass clef. This is the treble clef. This is the middle C. And for woodwinds, it's also called the low C because most woodwinds cannot play below that C. There are a couple of exceptions, the saxophone and the clarinet being one of them, but the flute can't go any lower than that. Most of the melody instruments cannot go any lower. We can't get any lower on a flutophone or on a song flute or on a tonette. On a lot of the ocarinas, this is as low as they will go. And there's a whole bunch of notes below that. So we call that the low C or the middle C. If it's a piano, it's the middle C. If it's a woodwind instrument, for the most part, it's going to be the low C. And this C is halfway between the treble and the bass clef. And so therefore, it sits right a little below, halfway between. And when you get up here, you get to the sharps and you get to the right hand. When we get down here, that's considered to be the bass. Bass and treble, the two are connected, but you have two clefs, the bass for the lower notes and the treble for the higher notes. And the middle C just sits right between them. Now, if you look at the scale, it's got almost the notes that can be played. The piano can play every note that can be played. And it can get way high and it can go way low. This is as low for the piano as you can get. And here's the middle C, and then we start doing the treble clef. From here to here is an octave. C to C is an octave. The smaller flutes, the melody flutes, like the tonettes, the ocarinas, some of the smaller pan flutes, song flutes, most of them can only play that level. You'd only have about an octave. Some of them can play one note more than that. Now, when you get to sassotos and recorders and penny whistles and instruments that are a little bit more complicated, they can get 2 octaves, which means they can get to this C with 1 ledger, actually 2 ledger lines. So this is considered to be high C. So you can go from most instruments that we do here in this show, from here, which is low C or middle C on the piano, up to this. Now that's quite a few. It doesn't seem like a lot when you compare it to that which comes up next and all the notes on the bass, but it really is quite a few. You can play a lot of keys with that. Now the flute, the actual flute, not the melody flutes. The melody flutes are the ones that I play in here, but the regular flutes, which I have occasionally brought in, can get 1 higher C right here, and that's considered to be, and it's called C above high C. Now, if you have to go any higher than that, and you can, they don't even write it out because it's so hard to do that. Look at the ledger lines. This is C, which is high C. It's C above high C. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ledger lines for that. On music, you couldn't write any more ledger lines. It would be so confusing to find out how many ledger lines that you wouldn't know what note you were playing. So what they do is they write an 8 VA, and that means you take whatever note that's playing, and it could be this one, and you could play it an octave higher. But you couldn't write it an octave higher because you'd have like 10 ledger lines. It would be so hard to read. The piano can go another octave above this. So this is the range, the lowest to the middle, treble clef, and then this high above C above high C, and 1 octave above that, which I have not put in. It just wasn't the room. All of these notes you can play. Now, have you ever thought, this is just a question, I don't even have an answer to the question, but I've been curious about it. So maybe somebody who knows physics or who's a mathematician, maybe they can email and tell me the answer. When we write music, when we play music, we're playing combinations of notes in different times and in different rhythms. That's all right, but we are actually playing different combinations of notes. Is there a time when we would run out of combinations because all the possible combinations of notes that would exist we have played? I mean, would we even know when we ran out? You know I used to work in a telephone company in my former life. And I was on a university campus where I was working as a student. It helped me earn my way through college. And the thing that I wanted to know then is how many number combinations can you have? And I say that because the university used to have to go to the phone company, the regular phone company. They had their own phone service for students, but they used to have to go and buy blocks of numbers. They couldn't just create numbers out of the air and say, well, this is going to be 2469 and this is going to be a number. They couldn't do that. They actually had to buy blocks of numbers from one number to whatever amount they bought. And then they could use those numbers for new phones for students coming in because they had their own phone service for students. And I used to think once in a while, well, does it ever come to the point when there are no more number combinations you can have? So if you assign a number, it's going to be the same number as somebody else because it's already been used once. You know, I don't know if that ever is a possibility. The universe is eternal. You never get beyond it, and so much is eternal. If you look at a curve, it never ends. If you look at a wedding band or any kind of a band, it never ends. It just keeps going and going and going. What is it for numbers? What is it for notes? Is there ever an end where you can't get any further? As I say, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm curious about it. Let me show you this chart now. We'll take this one down and put this one up. This is a full-scale piano. We're not talking keyboard, we're talking piano with its 88 notes, 52 white notes, 36 black notes, the whole thing. Of course, it's very small because there's no way I can fit 88 keys on this with any size at all, but this is what it is. Now, if you look at the total piano, if you can look far to the left, I'm not sure if that you can catch that, but at any rate, there's the lowest C that you can get, and there is a B and an A. So you go from this C and 2 notes below it up to this C, up to this C, up to this C. Now I've got this C colored in yellow because this is the middle C, what's known as middle C, and I showed you that in the other chart. Middle C, or as far as the woodwinds are concerned, the low Cs I've mentioned before. But then you've got 4 more octaves of Cs. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Now, woodwind instruments that are the smaller ones, like the melody flutes I sometimes bring in, like the song flutes, the tonettes, some of the ocarinas that can only do, the flutophones also I want to include in that. They only go for basically 1 octave. They're here to here. And sometimes if you manipulate a little, you can get an extra tone or 2 out of them. So let's say from C to that D. Now, sassoto flutes, penny whistles, recorders, they can go up a 2nd octave from here to here. The actual flutes, the real flutes, once in a while I bring one in, can get up to here. So you have a 3 octave range on a regular flute, but the piano can go for a full another octave. Now, as far as I know, this is the only possible way that you can have music. So here we have the middle C or the low C right here. That's the way it shows on the staff. I've shown you that before. D, E, F, G, A, B, C right here. That would be this C as it appears on the piano. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, which is that 2nd octave, which is right here. So I just presented to you, we play notes and we play note combinations, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on to a certain degree, because I'm going to play notes, I'm going to play songs. Some of them I have written, some of them I have not written, and I'm getting ready for another recording session just so I can remind you that there's more music coming. Let me show you this. This is on the other side. It's very similar. We have a full range piano, middle C or low C for woodwinds, in which all of the tone holes are covered, every single one. And then when you get to the next C, which is an octave, well, you have this. This is the C. All of those are gone up. This is open. You do close that tone hole in the back, what's called the thumb hole, but the second one down is played with the middle finger. That's the next C. When you get to the 3rd C up, you've got your tone hole in the back. The thumb hole is only half covered. The top one is covered. The next 3 down are not covered. They're open, and the next 2 are covered, with the 3rd one being open. That's another C. Now, that's as high as a recorder can go. The flute is going to play up to here. This is a high C, C above high C. It's going to play that. These notes here can only be played by the piano. Now, maybe the harp can do it, or an instrument that is like a piano in some ways, but I'm talking about basic woodwinds here. This is a full range. So, if you look at the notes on the staff, this is your low or your middle C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, which is right here, and that is the same, played like this. This is the way it is on the piano. This is the way it is on the staff. You take it up another octave. This is the way it is on the piano. This is the way it is on the staff. And this is the way that you finger that note. And then from here to hear can only be played by the flutes. As far as the woodwinds are concerned, that is way high. It is high above, we play C above high C, but the flute can do this, and you have the ledger lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's an enormous amount of ledger lines. Now, if you didn't have the ledger lines in order to read this, you would have to have lines going all the way across like the regular staff is, like I have up here. And you would not know what you were reading because there would be too many of them and they would be too confusing. So that's what got me to thinking, is there a time when there are no more notes? There are notes, I'm sure, in tones, I'm sure, that we can't hear, but animals can hear them. You can get sometimes whistles that warn animals to stay away, that cause them to stay away. You can't hear the sound that you're blowing. You can blow them, but the animal's hearing is so sensitive, they can hear things that we can't see, that we can't hear. Now, if you do a scale, C, D, E, F, G, it automatically switches to A. So let me start with A. Here's the A. There's several of them on this because I have several octaves, but let's assuming this is the only A. If you follow the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, when you get to the G, you automatically go back to the A again. You don't have notes such as H and N and Q. They don't exist. Well, why don't they exist? It's because we can't hear them. We can write music, and it's sequential only to the limits of what our hearing is. Now, we can hear some octaves to these notes, but actually we can't hear anything above the highest of the Gs. So when you get to the G, you automatically switch to A, and you go back and follow the alphabet again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then you switch to A again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, these high notes and these low notes are really octaves. They're octaves to each other. An octave is 8 notes, and the 8th note is a repetition of the first note. So you get from C here, and you get to C here. This is an octave higher from the first C. Let's take these two because I've got these marked. This is a C, this is a C, this is a C. They're octaves. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then you get to the C. That's an octave higher. It's the same pattern. It's the same vibrations, except it's twice as fast. Because it's twice as fast, it plays higher, just exactly the same note, but higher than the lower note. The same note, but twice as fast vibrations, pushes it an octave up. Or you could say twice as slow, it pushes it an octave down. That's why we think in terms of octaves. So there's an awful lot to consider in terms of ranges of music and how you play it and what the instrument is capable of playing and what the note sequences are and how the notes relate to each other. And that's why I spend so much time with a keyboard, because as much as you know about music, as much as you know about your instruments, as much as you can play them and play them very well, you don't know how it all fits together unless you take a good look at what the keyboard, a full-size piano, don't mean a little keyboard, but a full-size piano can do. You're not going to play any lower than this. You're not going to play any higher than that. And you have to keep repeating notes because you only can hear certain kinds of notes. And when you get to the G, you have to switch back to the A again. Now, if you want to look at it another way, we're talking about C, middle C. If you follow the alphabet, C, D, E, F, G. Then you start on the A again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Switch back to the A. You can follow the alphabet. Now, if you look at the keyboard, one thing that might help you to understand all of this is that here's your C. Whoops, I'm sorry, I think we've run out of time. So I'm going to close it here and explain this next time. So please join me then.